Hey everybody, this is Heather and Jenny with Surviving Darkness, and we are on episode 58.
You didn't hesitate that much that time.
I know.
Good job.
Okay,
We've been having some technical difficulties.
major technical difficulties.
So we've been an hour and a half just trying to figure out how to get this all going right. Our technical person isn't here, so Jenny's been tech savvy today. Well,
Jenny's been tech something, but I don't know about
being
tech
an hour
savvy.
and a half trying to get this set up with instructions. But I guess it's called a mixer, decided it didn't want to work right today, so it messed everything up. We couldn't follow the directions.
No, nothing was working like it was supposed to. So
we're just going to go with it.
Looks like we're good. Like the waveforms are moving and stuff. So I think we're okay.
Okay. My waveform ain't moving in my head. But
I know, trust me.
It is sort of moving on the computer.
So,
I feel like every week we're like, oh, it's been a week. One of these weeks we're going to get on here and say, oh my goodness, it has been such a peaceful week.
Yeah, I know, right?
I don't know when that's going to happen. But one of these days we're going to be able to say, oh, it's been such a peaceful week.
That's what I was getting ready to say. It ain't this week. We had a couple of things that we were thinking about talking about, and then we decided that we would talk about, I guess you say a local case, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about, every week we're like back and forth on this whole, do we be anonymous? Do we not be anonymous? Do we be anonymous? Do we not be anonymous? And there's just so much to it. It's like we want to protect other people's feelings, and we've had like a thing locally happen where I may have discussed it before, I don't remember, but a girl had been sexually abused by her father, and she wound up having like 2 or 3 kids in this relationship, and it started when she was like a very young teenager and went plumb up until she was an adult. And they happened to find out that the dad was the father of this girl's babies, because the youngest one was having trouble gaining weight, and they did all this lab work and it was just wonky, so they sent it off, the labs off, and
there were indications with what was going on, that there was incest, and that's when they sent it.
And it had to have been like, it's the close, like it either had to be a parent or a first sibling, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't have any full siblings, was what it was, a full sibling. So they deducted that it had to have been her dad. And just the community, like some people, it was so divided. Like some people were like, I can't believe he did that to his daughter, this, that, and the other. And then others were like, well, she's an adult. Why didn't she get help after she got to be an adult? And if you've not been in that situation, you've not been brainwashed and all of that, you don't understand. So part of our being up in the air is being attacked. I mean, people were being like pretty ugly. I mean, ugly, yeah. like in a threatening kind of manner, ugly. And it's like, do we want that out there? Do we want that negativity? We're out here trying to help people, trying to talk to people, let people know that they're not alone in their circumstances. Is being not anonymous anymore, is that going to like cause animosity to where we're not getting accomplished what we're trying to accomplish with the podcast? So, I mean, that's sort of where we were with that.
And when I was just talking the other day to my husband, and we were trying to figure things out and talking about how it can go on for a while and things. And he thought that I had said that it had all stopped for me when I started dating what was my first husband. He said, I thought you said that's when it all stopped. I said, no, I said it all stopped for me when I moved out of the house, and I was, 19 years old. So anyway, I said, no, it didn't. Everything continued until I was 19 when I moved out of the house. And then it came up about you, and that it had gone on even longer with you, like, as in you were even older before it stopped because you had still lived here with everything. And, you know, and you do get brainwashed into believing whatever too. And then when you see something that is not of this world that influences what's going on too, and who knows, that girl may have had something like that went on too. You have no idea. No, that side's
Right.
not going to come out.
Well, from what I gathered, she had been threatened that he would kill her if she said anything.
Mm-hmm.
And when you live with that kind of threat and it's real to you, especially at a young age, I mean, you think you're not mentally and emotionally that mature at 13, 14 years old. And you've got a grown man telling you, I'll kill you if you say anything. You're going to believe him.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to keep your mouth shut.
Us knowing, hearing things and knowing that there were things being said like that to us by something else, you know, like, or if you say anything, then the person that's protecting you won't be there anymore.
Right.
You know, you don't know what all you'll believe unless you're in those circumstances. You know, it's hard to know what your mind will process and won't process, you know, or how it will.
And the manipulation was like, like any negative thing that was going to happen to someone, it was on you. Like if we weren't doing something that we were supposed to do, or Dad acted like he was taking up for us and we're just not going to do that, it's not going to happen, it would attack him. Like we thought he was like, it's got a hold of my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that. And I mean, you could visibly see that he was in pain and stuff like that. So it was almost like our decision to not cooperate meant his physical pain. So it put the ball in our court as to whether we're going to comply or whether we're going to let someone else suffer.
Right.
Which is another form of abuse and control. So then not only do you not want to do what you're being forced to do, but you've got that threat of it harming someone else.
Right.
And you visibly seeing the pain that it is inflicting on someone. And I mean, that don't change at any age.
Right.
Any kind of hostage situation where you see someone else suffering because of your decision or your choice, you're gonna fold. You're not going to sit there and watch someone be tortured.
Right.
Because you don't want to do something.
And when your life is at stake and that's what's being threatened, you're not just going to be like, oh, well, that's fine, I'm still going to say whatever. You know, you're not going to. Because you're going to take, if you have been put in that situation enough to where she had 3 kids.
Right.
Obviously, she was scared into staying in that situation or not saying anything, you know, and people can say what they want. Oh, well, I wouldn't have done this or I wouldn't have done that. But until you're in that situation, you honestly don't know how you would react.
And then when you're being threatened, like if you don't agree to do what you were told to do, that thing has so much strength, it'll just break your hips and do what it wants. So you can't fight it. You might as well just agree.
Right.
And quit fighting. So it like totally took the control away from you. But at the same time, made you think you had control because you can choose to not do what I want you to do, but I'm going to hurt this person.
Right.
So, I mean, you're in control. You've got control of this situation. Yeah, but you didn't have control.
No control.
There was no options that were satisfactory to anybody. So, yeah, until you're in that situation where it's like you're being threatened with bodily harm, you're being threatened with death, someone else is being threatened with bodily harm. And I'm not talking like, let me break your fingernail or something like that. I'm talking like reaching in and like squeezing someone's heart or
Mhm.
something. We didn't know what in the world was going on. He's just holding his chest. He's turning pale. And it's like, we're causing this for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there was legitimately times that it was not him, that there
Yeah.
was something else. So I don't know. I mean, with possession, people say they feel like their spine is hooked to a wall with like spikes in it and they can't move. They can't get away from this demonic presence. And they're literally bound spiritually and to where it manifests physically. So we don't know. Maybe it was just a possession that was causing the pain. It was inflicting pain on him inside. I don't know how to describe it.
Right.
But I mean, we don't know if it really could have killed him or not.
And there are times, you know, when we have said some of the things that happened, we were like, yeah, whatever, you know. But then there were other times when it absolutely, there was something happening. There was a physical reaction to where you knew that it was real. Like you
Mhm.
said, he's turning pale. You know, if you're faking things like that, you're not going to be able to control all of these functions that happen.
The clamminess,
Yes,
all of that.
You can't cause that stuff to just
And the
come
fear.
on and happen. No.
I mean, you could honestly see the fear in his eyes. There
Mhm.
was something going on.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was attacking just him from the inside, I don't know. I don't know how
Mhm.
you explain that. I don't understand, like, when they talk about possession, I don't think it's mental that they're saying, oh, like putting in your head, I'm doing this to you, and physically you start manifesting the symptoms of it. I don't
Mhm.
know how it works. I just know that I've heard people say, I can't get loose. I've got these like metal claws in my spine, and I'm hooked to this chain to this wall.
Mhm.
And when I try to get away, when I try to get out, it's literally like yanking my spine out of my body.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, physically, they really aren't chained to that wall, but somehow the enemy's got them convinced that they are.
Right.
So I don't know if physically something was really pressing his heart, or if it had him convinced so much that he was manifesting the symptoms of something that it was telling him in his mind.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know.
But to us, we're just seeing the reaction
Yeah, we're
that
seeing
he's
that.
having, you know,
Yeah.
and the physical. I don't know what I'm
That
trying
if we
to
don't
say.
do what we're being told to do, he's going to die right
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Yes. And the physical symptoms, that's what I was trying to
Yeah.
say, happening and
Right.
seeing the actual what's going on, you know. And then I feel bad because there were other times when, and I'm sure you felt this way too, I was so tired and things would happen, you know, in the middle of the night or whatever, or even, you know, if we had to go ride down the road and my brain was just done and it would be like, well, you have to do this or this is going to happen or whatever. And, you know, even if I saw things, it was kind of like, I don't care anymore, you know? And then I'd feel bad because it was like, well, if something happened to somebody, I would be upset. I would feel terrible if something happened, you know?
Mhm.
But when you're sleep deprived or, you know, just mentally exhausted and physically exhausted, you're kind of just like, I don't even care anymore what happens, you know?
Right.
So
I think we held in so much anger and so much feeling controlled.
mhm.
It was like sometimes it would just like eat you. You just wanted to explode, but you knew you couldn't. You couldn't just scream.
No.
And that's what you it's like you screamed inside
Mhm.
because you couldn't let it out.
And I truly hope that that girl gets the mental help that she needs too and realizes, you know, I mean, it's taken us a long time, but to realize that she was a victim. You
Right.
know, people are going to say what, like we've said 1,000 times, people are going to believe what they're going to be, what they're going to believe. They're going to say what they're going to say, but until they've lived it, they have no idea. And she was a victim
Right.
from a young age too,
Right.
and manipulated and everything. And I just hope that she is able, she and her kids, I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah. I just hope that once she's out of this situation, she can make decisions that will be beneficial
Mm-hmm.
for her and her kids. I mean, some of the stuff I figured out who it was and have looked at like the Facebook page and stuff, and I worry.
Yeah.
I worry that she may use things to keep from feeling the pain.
Mm-hmm.
And with everything like going on with us questioning the anonymity that we want or are up in the air about, should I say, the person that this has happened to is close, like proximity wise. And part of me wants to reach out and be like, you know what? We have similar stories. But at the same time, if we're trying to sort of not let everybody know exactly where we live, who we are, all of that, it sort of makes it hard for us to reach out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing. It's like we want to help people. We want people to know so that they can reach out to us on a personal level.
Right.
But at the same time, is it going to hurt the people that like we've already interviewed on here? Will people figure out who they are, and start putting the pieces together and then start pointing fingers and all of that? So it makes it a little bit hard to try to figure out where we want to be on all that.
And I have a little one, like we've said before. So it's, like just protecting our whole families, not just my little one, but our mom and everything like that too, because mom has a lot going on mentally and physically. And there's a lot of things that contribute to, yes, we should say who we are and where we're from, or no, we shouldn't, you know what I mean? So, and this makes me think too, how many times has this happened to people that you just assume that they got knocked up, you know what I mean? Like, I'm putting it a rough way, you know what I'm saying? But they got knocked up in high school or whatever, and then it was something like this.
Right.
And you don't know, and nobody knows, and no one will know. And, so that makes it...
I can't imagine what she went through. Like in school, or people asking who the father of the kids are. I mean...
Like, and I'm so thankful, my gosh, that it wasn't us.
Exactly.
That's because how would you explain that? You'd have to make up somebody or whatever, I mean, so, and then I don't know how old she is now. I don't remember how old she is now, but just thinking back to us and, being in high school or whatever. And I know you didn't have like close boyfriends. I didn't really either till my, my senior year. And if something would have happened before then, it would have just been like, oh, well, it's somebody that, nobody knows from here, nothing like it, something like that. And, and then they're still trying to protect that person because they are still your parent.
Right.
That comes into play too.
Right.
As demented as it sounds, they still are your parent.
Oh, I will go to prison and I wouldn't survive in prison.
Yeah.
I mean, now I look at it at 50 years old and I'm like, well, that's your own fault. Right. That's the choices you made.
Yes.
But as a young person, that's more guilt and more making you think that you have control of a situation that you really don't have any control over. It's manipulation. That's all it is.
And I want to say, sometimes then, well, I might not survive this situation. So I really don't care if you end up in jail and don't make it. There's times I remember I would have never come out and said anything like that. Just thinking, well, I'm struggling to make it through now.
Right.
I don't care what happens to you.
Right.
So, I mean, I just hate that for that girl and for anyone that's been in those circumstances, I mean, we don't know. You don't know what people are going through. And, you had talked to one of the doctors that we both see, chiropractor that we both see, that our mom babysat forever, known the family forever and a day, and had told him about this podcast and said, you might be surprised what happens behind closed doors. Not just in our family, but anywhere. It could be anywhere.
Right. And what's weird too is I was telling you that someone that we knew growing up, where in the world am I from? Growing up, had sent a friend request to our Surviving Darkness page. I don't know if this person knows who we are, if his daughters knew and told him why the friend request was sent, but I almost hesitated to accept because I was like, what kind of comments are we going to get from this person? Because I didn't know what kind of negativity he would throw out. He was sort of a judgmental person.
Very.
So it was like, I debated. I was like, do I accept? Do I not accept? And I accepted. We have nothing to hide.
No.
If he knows who we are. But that I had that catch in my gut. What does he know and why is he sending one?
And you're almost like, I don't want to deal with it. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't, that's how I feel sometimes is you can say whatever you're going to say. Or I just said today, you can think what you want to think. But I don't want to have to deal with you.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter what you say.
Right.
And I don't mean to sound just rude or crude or whatever. We dealt with it. We went through it, and
it's not stuff that we just made up.
No.
I mean, it's not. I don't even know if we could have made up some of that stuff.
No.
I wouldn't. I mean, my mind don't work like that.
That's what I said about, the things that you see. They're still vivid in our minds. And the things that we went through, they could hypnotize me to try to say, oh, well, you're not telling the truth. And, when you're, supposedly hypnotized or whatever, truth comes out. Well, nothing's going to change from me being the normal person to being under something like that. It's all going to be the same because it's the truth.
Right.
And the truth doesn't change.
No, it doesn't.
So.
No. And I don't know how we could make up the stuff.
No.
And how we relive it in our dreams. I mean, the nightmares all the time.
Well, I was freaking out last night because I know it's going to sound crazy, but it's the truth. I had gotten a new deodorant, and we talk about the baby powder that I can't stand it. It wasn't baby powder scent, but it smelled different. So I literally had my husband come in and I was like, does this smell like I think it does? I didn't say what I thought, and he knows because he knows, but at the same time I said, or am I crazy? And he literally sniffed it like 6 or 7 times, just trying to, and he said, it's not baby powder, but it's baby something. And as soon as he said that, I smelled it again. I was like, baby lotion in the pink bottle. And that's what it was. Yeah. But I knew that it was baby something. And I was like, it wasn't just a mental thing. My body was like, this, what is this? And is it, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't getting nauseous. So that's why I was like, I don't think it's baby powder, but it was something associated with that. And so those are triggers that, we were talking about triggers and that we thought that would be the topic that anyway. Those are things that happen that your body does not, that your body responds to.
That it don't forget.
Yeah, exactly. Subconsciously it does it,
Right.
Right. So, speaking of the truth, that's what I mean. Your body reacts to things
Mm-hmm.
on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't the truth, it wouldn't do that.
Right.
So,
Yeah. That is true.
so, and what's funny about that guy sending the request was I forgot he was even around. That's crazy because we were around them all the time when we were younger, but I totally forgot that he was even around until you said the name.
Right.
And I was like, oh.
And it was an abbreviation of the name that we
Yeah.
called him.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, is it the same person? And I looked at the profile and I was like, yeah, that's the same person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was like, well, what's the chances of him finding our page on his own?
Yeah.
There goes my neck popping. But anyway, what's the chances? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
is this a trap?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Is this a snare of the enemy?
And so be it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we fought through that.
Yeah.
And if that's what it is, then we'll fight through this too.
I'm like, Satan, you are a liar.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems like it's constant. And like I said, if there ever comes a time that we can get on here and say, oh, it's been such a peaceful week, I'd love it.
I know.
Love
Yes.
I just know, I know that there's definitely a blessing coming because hell broke loose again today. So I'm like, tomorrow or Saturday, hopefully we'll see what the blessing is. But it just seems like it always has to knock my feet out from under me before I even get to enjoy what's coming my way.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So next week I'll let y'all know what that blessing is.
That's right. Yes. Yes.
Because I know it's coming. When the enemy comes that hard with the nightmares and everything all at once. And I woke up feeling like I had fought the biggest battle because after my husband left for work, I knew something was weird because the dog sort of sat up and looked at the door funny. And she's just sat there like perked up for a little bit. And finally she just relaxed enough and went to sleep. And I was like, I didn't see nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't know what she's looking at, but I mean, it got her attention, whatever it was. And then I went to sleep. And after that, it was total nightmare. So I'm sure the dogs were freaking out, trying to figure out why I was yelling, because I know if I'm having a nightmare, I'm yelling in my sleep. If I'm yelling in my dream, I'm yelling in my sleep. So they're probably like, what in the world is going on? So the first thing I messaged my husband, I'm like, good morning. And he was like, good morning. And I'm like, oh, I wish you were here. When I was like, right after you left, everything went crazy. I had the worst dreams. And then the day just went downhill from that. But I mean, it is what it is.
And I just was thinking, yours has been a lot of mental, lately in the last few weeks and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Your battles,
Mm-hmm.
mine have been physical.
Mm-hmm.
I've been having to work a lot more, which wears me down and makes me tired and my body tired.
Right.
And, I'm thankful because my husband's out of work right now, so I'm thankful for that. But at the same time, anyway, we've just had to fight two different battles, but we know what it's about and what it is. But we've just had to fight different things.
Right.
That still tear you down, know. So.
And it's it's the enemy because some of it is uncalled for. It's like you're getting attacked by people that you're like, what did I do to them? Why are they coming at me like that?
Right.
So,
yes.
And it's the enemy. You know good and well that they're operating in some kind of demonic spirit.
Mm-hmm.
They're being influenced by a demonic spirit.
Well, and there have been other things that have happened with, that person too. And true colors just come out.
And it makes it hard when you see someone that is so much personality-wise like someone that you were married to at one point,
Mm-hmm.
and you see right through them. And you're like, everything that you could not stand about that person you were married to is right there in front
Yeah.
of you. And you're like, I see you.
Mm-hmm.
I see what you're all about.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't stand it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand it. And I'm like, I say something mean. I've done said it a couple of times mean. And Lord forgive me. But I'm like, my ex-husband's dead and I ain't putting up with that attitude
Yeah,
from a
I
live
get
one
it. Mm-hmm.
that I'm not even married to.
Mm-hmm.
Not doing it again. I'm not. And like, I mean, we were going to talk about triggers, but not talk about triggers at the same time, whatever. I still have the issues with the control.
Yes.
If I feel like someone is trying to control me and control circumstances that have something to do with me that are going to affect me in a negative way, I cannot just sit back
I was going to
and keep
say,
my mouth shut.
we buck up
I'm like,
automatically.
I don't know who you think you are, but you're not that person.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have that power over me.
Yes.
And it's all I can do not to want to hurt somebody. And I mean, that rage just builds up in me. And sometimes I think it's an irrational kind of rage because I'm like, I just want to take him out at the kneecaps.
I think we need to go to one of those rage rooms where you just break everything. Like you
I
have
don't
a
know that-
bat.
I'm like,
and
I
you-
don't know that would help. I mean, I'd have to stay in a rage room for a week.
I know, but I know. And then
But yeah.
sometimes it's awful, but sometimes I feel like I want it to be a person, not any one person, like I don't have anybody in mind, but I want someone to feel that pain that I felt, but I would never want anyone to do that if
Right.
that makes sense,
But now this is something that I don't understand though. There's some things that people can do and I'll be like, you know what? I'm not even going to acknowledge that. I'm not going to give them the satisfaction of knowing they made me mad. And then somebody else can do something. I'm like, oh, they're going to know. I ain't putting up with that.
Mhm.
And I'm like, why do I have one end of the spectrum to the other, depending on the person and the action? It's like, if you're just doing something to try to hurt me, I'm not going to act like it hurts me. But when you are doing something to be like, oh, I control everything. Yeah. You don't have no control over any of this. I'm like, you better think again. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. It's like, don't tell me I don't have control over stuff in my life, the things that belong to me, that I own, that I've worked for, that I paid for, that you think you're going to control my stuff.
Right.
We got issues because it's not yours and you don't have control over it. And that to me is one of my biggest pet peeves. Right. I'm like, don't tell me that you're going to control something that don't even belong to you.
And I think it has some of it is the fact that you see it happening over and over and over, not just with your things or with you, but with other people. Mm-hmm. And you get to that point where you're like, no. You know what I mean? Like, one time can happen. One time a thing can happen, but not repeatedly.
I think it's that whole people putting themselves up on a pedestal and you want to just knock it out from under them. Mm-hmm. You're not all that in a bag of chips. Mm-hmm. And I want you to know that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
You don't control everything because you are not all that. Mm-mm. Just so you know.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what it is. It's that people putting themselves up higher than what they are and thinking that they're high and mighty and they control everything, even if it affects your life. And I'm like, no, you don't have that control.
No, that's exactly right.
We were controlled for so long. That is the thing that I can't deal with is someone trying to control me and doing things that are going to harm me and me feel like I can't stop it.
Yes.
And I'm like, never again am I going to be in that situation where someone's going to control me and do things that are going to harm me financially, emotionally, whatever. And me just sit back and not do anything to stop it. Mm-hmm. It's like, I will go down swinging.
Yeah.
One way or the other, I will go down swinging. But I think the dog has decided we're done for the night. She can't stand it. I've got the most spoiled dog I've ever had in my life. And I don't know that I did it. She just sort of has done it herself. Miss Attitude. Oh, scared to even go outside. Well, I don't know how scared of outside she is, or if it's just that stubborn. I'm not going outside.
I don't know either.
I don't know. But yeah, she's driving me up the wall. I can't even be
Yes.
out of the room without her squalling.
You without this that you hear. Yes.
All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap up this week and we'll come up with something again next week. I think we should talk about triggers, really go into depth of things that we had talked about before and if we've grown any. I obviously haven't grown from the whole control thing, but other things I think I have
Yeah.
mellowed out on.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we'll try to remember
Mm-hmm.
and discuss that next time. I
Yeah,
won't say
and
next
take
week.
notes this week.
Yeah.
Or, you know, or
I won't. Yeah, we won't say
until
next
we
week
do it.
until
Yeah.
until next time, people.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you all have a good week, and thank you all for listening. And again, if you have any thoughts on the whole anonymity process, or you know what we're not process, but you know what I'm trying to say, like
Decision.
yeah, where we stand on that, just send us a message or put a little post on our Facebook page. And as always, share our podcast so we can help. It's not a matter of us, like we've said before, of us getting 1 million followers. We don't care about that. It's trying to help other people, like the situation we talked about today, just helping people who've been there.
Yeah.
And know that, like you say, know that they're not alone.
Right.
You all have a good week.